Ghosts of Villisca, A Night at the Murder House. This next story isn't something I'd recommend anyone try. A few years back, my cousin Adam and I decided to take a haunted road trip across the Midwest. We hit all the famous spots, abandoned asylums, cursed bridges, ghost towns. But nothing, and I mean nothing, compared to the night we spent at the Villisca Axe Murder House in Iowa. If you don't know, back in 1912, an entire family, parents, 4 kids, and 2 visiting children were found murdered inside their home, all killed with an axe. The killer was never caught. The house has been preserved exactly the way it was, and today, you can rent it out overnight. Which is exactly what we did. The house was deceptively small. Creaky wood floors, faded wallpaper, sagging ceilings, every step echoed. When we arrived, the caretaker gave us a brief tour, pointing out where each body had been found. It felt weird hearing it so casually. As night fell, Adam and I set up in the living room with sleeping bags. We had every intention of staying up all night, recording with our phones, trying to catch something. We didn't have to wait long. Around 11 p.m., we heard it. Footsteps upstairs. Heavy, deliberate, like someone walking slowly from one bedroom to the next. We looked at each other, wide-eyed. Neither of us moved. Then a faint whisper. "Mama?" It sounded like a child's voice. We grabbed our flashlights and hesitantly climbed the narrow staircase. Each step groaned under our weight. Upstairs, the rooms were freezing. Our breath formed misty clouds. We searched every room. Nothing. As we turned to head back downstairs, the bedroom door slammed shut behind us. Adam screamed. I don't even blame him. We tried the door, but it wouldn't budge. It felt like someone was holding it shut from the other side. Then, clear as day, we both heard a child's laughter, right behind us. We turned our flashlights around, but the hallway was empty. After what felt like an eternity, the door swung open on its own with a loud creak. We ran. We didn't even grab our stuff. We bolted out the front door into the cold night, leaving our sleeping bags and equipment behind. When we told the caretaker what happened the next morning, after returning sheepishly to collect our things, she just smiled sadly and said, "They don't like visitors upstairs after dark." I still have the audio recording from that night. You can hear our panicked breathing, the door slamming. And right before it cuts off, you can hear it. That same little voice, whispering, "Stay." Two years ago, some friends and I decided to take a spontaneous road trip. No plans, no big destinations, just drive, camp, explore abandoned places along the way. It started off exactly how you'd expect. Lots of junk food, bad singing, sketchy gas stations. We weren't scared of much. Maybe we should have been. It was the 3rd day when we stumbled on the motel. It wasn't on any of our GPS maps. We were driving down a narrow back road in rural Nevada, about 2 hours past anything resembling a town, when we saw the sign. Desert Sun Motel. The sign was broken one side, hanging by a thread, swinging in the wind. Behind it stood a crumbling 1-story building, sun-bleached and abandoned. Of course, we had to stop. There was something magnetic about the place, like it was daring us to get closer. The parking lot was cracked and filled with weeds. Most of the windows were boarded up, but a few doors hung open, revealing dark, empty rooms. We joked around, filming a ghost hunting video for laughs. But the closer we got to the building, the less funny it all seemed. The air felt wrong, heavy, still. No animal sounds, no insects, just our own footsteps crunching gravel. I remember saying, half joking, "Feels like we're not supposed to be here." Nobody laughed. We explored for a bit, sticking close together. The lobby still had some old, torn-up furniture, a dusty reception desk, an ancient key rack behind it, keys still hanging. Room 7's door was ajar. Inside, the room looked relatively untouched. An unmade bed, a cracked mirror, a rusted lamp. Then Jason found something. A notebook. It was sitting on the nightstand, thick with dust but otherwise intact. The first few pages were just nonsense scribbles. But near the middle, someone had written over and over, "It watches, it watches, it watches." We left after that. Quickly. Back at the car, we tried to laugh it off. Creepy squatters, someone said. Crazy locals. We didn't believe it. Not really. But that night, at our campsite a few miles down the road, things got worse. We were sitting around the fire when we heard it. A loud bang from the direction of the car. We all jumped up, flashlights out. Nothing. The car was untouched. The woods were empty. Still, none of us really settled after that. We kept hearing small noises all night. Branches snapping, faint whispers, footsteps circling the tents. Morning couldn't come fast enough. But the worst part was what we found. When we packed up and got back to the car, we noticed the windshield was cracked a perfect circle about the size of a fist. And written across the dust on the hood, smeared with what looked like water or something darker, were 2 words. Room 7. None of us had written that. We were sure. We didn't talk much after that. The mood had shifted completely. We cut the trip short, headed home. But even after getting back, it didn't feel like it was over. For weeks afterward, weird things kept happening to all of us. Jason started getting phone calls from random unknown numbers. When he answered, there was only silence. Becca swore she kept waking up to find muddy footprints leading up to her apartment door. As for me, the worst was the dreams. Every night, I'd dream I was back in that motel room, room 7, but not alone. There was something else in there. Something crouched in the corner, watching. I never saw its face. Only the outline, tall, crooked, wrong. And every time I tried to leave in the dream, the door would slam shut, trapping me inside. I started losing sleep. I taped crosses over the mirrors in my room. I threw out my bedroom lamp after I woke up to find it turned on, even though I was sure I hadn't touched it. It went on for months. Slowly, the nightmares faded. The phone calls stopped. The footprints disappeared. But sometimes I still get that feeling late at night, that prickling, heavy air, like something unseen is standing just behind me. Watching, waiting. And every once in a while, when I'm driving on empty highways, I swear I see a broken old sign flashing in the corner of my eye. Desert Sun Motel. I don't stop anymore. If you ever see a place that isn't on any map, a place abandoned and waiting, remember this. Some places aren't just abandoned. Some places are abandoned for a reason. Last summer, my best friend Ethan and I set off on what was supposed to be the ultimate road trip. 3 weeks, coast to coast. No rules, just a tent, a beat-up Subaru, and a lot of bad ideas. We weren't tourists. We weren't stopping at national landmarks or museums. We wanted the forgotten places, the weird stuff. The trip was amazing until we reached Utah. There's a stretch of desert highway out there, hours of nothing but sand, scrub, and blue sky. No towns, no gas stations, no cell signal. It was late afternoon when we first saw it. A battered old sign by the road. Mile marker 313. There wasn't even a proper sign. More like a splintered wooden board nailed crookedly to a post. Ethan pulled over. "You ever heard of this place?" I hadn't. It wasn't on the GPS. There wasn't even a dot on the map. We decided to check it out anyway. Of course we did. The road turned into a narrow, crumbling dirt track winding into the hills. We passed abandoned cabins, rusted cars swallowed by weeds, and old faded billboards half-eaten by the sun. It felt wrong. The air was too still. Even the birds were silent. About 5 miles in, we found it. An old motel. Falling apart, sun-bleached, but somehow still standing. Rest Easy Inn was barely visible on a cracked neon sign. It looked deserted, but the front door was wide open. Ethan, being Ethan, wanted to explore. I was less sure. Something about the place made my skin crawl. Still, I followed him inside. The lobby was covered in dust and broken glass. A single wooden desk, a toppled chair, a wall of old room keys still hanging in neat rows. It looked like whoever had run the place just vanished. Mid-shift. We poked around for a while, joking nervously. But then we heard it. A door slamming upstairs. Not creaking. Not the wind. A slam. We froze. There was no one else there. There was no breeze. It was over 100 degrees outside and dead still. Ethan whispered, "Maybe an animal?" But we both knew better. We backed out fast, climbed into the car, and peeled back down that dirt road. We didn't stop until we hit the highway again. Only then did we realize something even worse. The Subaru's dashboard clock was wrong. It said 11:42 p.m. We had only been off the highway for 30-40 minutes, tops. But somehow, 6 hours had passed. We tried to rationalize it. Sunstroke, faulty clock, stress. But deep down, I think we both knew something had happened out there. The real horror started later that night. We camped in a public campground near Moab. Safe, crowded, well lit. But when I woke up around 2 a.m., Ethan was gone. I thought maybe he went to the bathroom. But when I checked, he wasn't there. I called out for him. Nothing. I checked the parking lot. The Subaru was still there. I started searching, flashing my headlamp into the trees. And that's when I found his footprints. Barefoot, leading away from the campsite into the scrubland beyond. I followed them for almost 50 yards, and then they just stopped. Not turned around, not disturbed, just ended. Like he vanished into thin air. I called the police. Search parties, helicopters. They found nothing. No sign of struggle, no body, no clothing, no Ethan. Gone. I stayed in town for a week, hoping, praying he'd turn up. He didn't. Eventually, I had to go home. The weirdest part? When I got back to my apartment, there was a package waiting for me. No return address. Inside was a single item. A motel key. Room 6. Rest Easy Inn. It's been almost a year now. Every once in a while, I get postcards. No return address. No handwriting, just blurry. Faded pictures of deserts, forests, abandoned highways. On the back, always the same words. Wish you were here. Sometimes I wonder if Ethan's still out there. Somewhere past mile marker 313. Somewhere you can't find on a map. Somewhere you can never really leave. Road trips are supposed to be about freedom. The open road, the endless possibilities. But out there, past the gas stations, past the GPS signal, there are places forgotten for a reason. Places where time twists, where people vanish. And if you're ever unlucky enough to find one, remember, the scariest part isn't getting lost. It's realizing you were never alone.